بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headline. His Excellency the Minister of Tourism stresses that there are many requests to establish resorts and hotels in Ras Madraka and Ras Ruwais. 2 agreements for projects are signed in Sohar Port and Free Zone with an amount of more than 20 million Omani Riyals. And Japan says efforts to secure the release of 2 hostages held captive by Daesh group remain deadlocked. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Excellency Ahmed bin Nasser al-Mahrazi, Minister of Tourism, said that there are many requests to establish touristic resorts and hotels in Ras Madraka and Ras Ruwais in the governance of Al-Wusta and South Sharqiyya. He added that opening the first investment project for the private sector in Duqm is considered a key engine for the private investment. His Excellency the Minister also indicated that the Ministry of Tourism prepared a touristic plan for the next period in Duqm. Sohar Port recently signed a lease contract with Sohar Flour Mills ahead of the planned construction of a new flour mill with a capacity of 500 MT per day. The signing took place at the Sohar Port and Free Zone annual business reception, which drew participation from public and private sectors dignitaries and representatives from key diplomatic missions based in Muscat. A second contract was signed with Centerpoint Logistics, which will take up the option of a plot at Sohar Free Zone for the expansion of its logistics, warehousing, and storage facilities. In order to increase awareness on house activities, Oman Women's Association in the Wilaya of Rastaq organized a number of training courses and programs that target women in the Wilaya. These activities came to enhance the role of women's associations in serving the community through women. They included courses on tailoring and embroidery and information technology skills. In the Wilaya of Duqm in the Governorate of Wusta, the activities of Sports Convoy were concluded. The activity was organized by the Directorate of Sports Affairs in the Governorate. It included sports, cultural, and social events such as health awareness, lectures, poetry evenings, and cultural and sports contexts. The conclusion ceremony was held under the auspices of His Excellency Sheikh Mohsen bin Hamad al-Maskari, Wali of Duqm. Still to come in our news bulletin. Abandoned buildings are transformed into art in the Spanish city of Malaga. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Japanese officials said efforts by Japan and Jordan to secure the release of 2 of their nationals held captive by Daesh group remain deadlocked, and the situation remains highly unpredictable. Militants had threatened to kill Jordanian pilot Muad al-Qasasba unless a would-be suicide bomber being held on death row in Amman was handed over by sunset on Thursday. Japanese journalist Kenji Goto was also being held by the militants. Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said in Tokyo today that the situation was unpredictable and that anything could happen. Daesh Group insurgents today seized a small crude oil station near the northern Iraqi city, Kirkuk, where 15 employees were working, and explosions in and around the capital, Baghdad, killed at least 9 people. 2 officials from the state-run North Oil Company confirmed the militants seized a crude oil separation unit in Qabaz and said 15 oil workers were missing after the company lost contact with them. Kurdish military sources said that Kurdish Peshmerga forces sought to push back Daesh Group in further fighting near Qabaz today. Qabaz is a small oil field 20 kilometers southwest of Kirkuk with a maximum production capacity of 15,000 barrels per day. It was producing around 10,000 barrels per day before the attack. U.S. officials said that the United States is facing increasing difficulty acquiring intelligence needed to run its stealth drone program in Yemen, undermining a campaign against the most lethal branch of Al-Qaeda after Houthi rebels seized control of parts of the country's security apparatus. Gaps in on-the-ground intelligence could slow Americans' fight against insurgent Al-Qaeda in Yemen and heighten the risk of errant strikes that kill the wrong people and stoke anti-U.S. sentiment, potentially making the militants even stronger in areas where Al-Qaeda is already growing. Troops from Chad have driven Boko Haram fighters from a northern Nigeria border town seized by the Boko Haram group late last year. A Chadian military source said 123 Boko Haram fighters were killed in clashes with Chadian soldiers, who sustained 3 deaths. A dozen soldiers were injured. Chad's involvement in retaking the town comes as the regional military heavyweight assumes an increasingly aggressive role in combating the militants, and regional leaders weigh new options for containing the movement's spread. Crude oil prices rose by more than 8%, recorded the highest daily gain in 2.5 years after statements showed that the U.S. exploration companies are reducing exploration activities of shale oil. The international benchmark Brent crude exceeded $53 per barrel to jump to its highest level in 3 weeks. The price of future contracts for Brent crude rose by $3.86, while the U.S. crude contracts closed with an increase by $3.71 as to reach $48.24 for a barrel. The total value of private deposits at the commercial banks in the Sultanate of Oman as of the end of November 2014 rose by 16.9% to more than 11 billion Omani riyals. The Central Bank of Oman, CBO, pointed out that the gross value for these deposits as of the end of November 2014 includes time deposits at more than 3 billion Omani riyals, saving deposits of 3.9 billion, and on-demand deposits of more than 3.88 billion riyals. The capital and reserves to the total deposits was 16.7%. The Spanish seaside city of Malaga invites artists to go to town on the walls of its Soho district, hoping to make itself a hub of the street art movement, which is shifting from the sidewalks to the galleries. Here is the report.
Abandoned buildings transformed into art. When the Spanish city of Malaga wanted to clean up its sleazy portside district, it called in the painters, big international names in the street art movement, like the British artist Deface and the American Shepard Fairey, who created these designs on a 10-story building.
All the artists went to work to bring messages to the public, the locals, visitors and tourists who never used to come here. Messages about hope, tolerance and protecting the environment.
Artists like Roa from Belgium, Dal East from China, and Faith 47 based in South Africa, but also Spanish names, both well-known and less so. 50 of them in all were given free rein to create street paintings that sooner or later will fade away.
We have taken back the streets and squares. They've been renovated, buildings have been smartened up. We have helped people open new businesses and create jobs.
Painting in the street with the City Hall's backing, An unexpected opportunity for these artists, many of whom work in secret normally and keep their identities hidden.
This project has been talked about quite a lot abroad, with these international artists taking part. So sure, that gives you a bit more exposure.
Having his work seen on the streets of Malaga earned this artist a work placement in a German art gallery. For others, it was the first time they had worked outdoors.
It's been a really good thing. I think this neighbourhood has started to have more life, a much more interesting life. People want to come and stroll around here now.
Some say there is still much work to do if this district is to lure more tourists from the nearby beaches of the Costa del Sol. The city has launched a new call for participants, hoping for some new street art this coming spring.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies will prevail over the Sultanate with chances of low clouds and fog in the governorates of South Sharqiya, Wusta, Dhofar and coastal areas overlooking the Sea of Oman. Winds will be northeasterly to northeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight to moderate along the southeastern coast with a maximum wave height of 2 meters and will be slight along the rest of the coast with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Excellency the Minister of Tourism stresses that there are many requests to establish resorts and hotels in Ras Madraka and Ras Ruwais. 2 agreements for projects are signed in Sohar Port and Free Zone with an amount of more than 20 million Omani Riyals. And Japan says efforts to secure the release of 2 hostages held captive by Daesh group remain deadlocked. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.